What up, folks? It's Tony Wiggins here with the Friday edition of Locked On Jaguars. We're going to talk about the possibilities of Odell Beckham Jr., the possibilities of the Jaguars actually getting a win this weekend, and why we say certain things when we talk about team building. I'm going to discuss all of that here on the Friday edition of Locked On Jaguars. Stand by.
You are Locked On Jags, your daily Jacksonville Jaguars podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
What's going on, good people? It is Friday. Every time I say that, I almost feel like saying it's Friday. You ain't got no job and you ain't got nothing to do. But I won't do that. I will, however, tell you that this episode of Locked On Jaguars is brought to you by McDonald's, proudly serving communities since 1965, 4 years before I was born. McDonald's has always been more than just a place to get tasty, affordable food. It is an unofficial community center. A big thank you to our friends at McDonald's for always being there, and I am loving it. Listen, man, Odell Beckham Jr. is getting released, and a lot of talk out there is, will he be good for the Jaguars? You can, come up with your own conclusion about whether or not you think Odell is a good fit for Jacksonville. You can come up with your own conclusions about if he still has ability. The one thing that will drive me absolutely crazy is when we determine that based on, he's not the right type of player at the right time. This goes back to when guys are getting drafted and these formulas that people have where you can't draft a running back if you don't have an offensive line. I wouldn't draft a quarterback until you can actually get people that can protect him. You can't draft a rookie left tackle if you got a first-year quarterback. But it's all right to draft a rookie if you got a second-year quarterback who's only played 5 games because he got hurt. I'm going to explain that one to you, too. There's all these formulas that no one ever tells me why they work and why they don't. I'll give you another one. Running backs are everywhere. That's true. But you never notice this. You ever notice the fact that anytime someone uses that as an example, that you can find a running back anywhere, they're always talking about a team that always seems to be able to find running back somewhere. The thing is there are a lot of teams that don't have good running backs. You know why? Because you can't find them everywhere, and everyone isn't good at it. The teams who are coached by guys last name Shanahan always seem to find 3, 4, 5 running backs over a 2-year period that seem like they're good and they're capable. Some teams actually identify what they like in a running back, and they know what type of guy to get. Other teams, like the Jaguars in the past, will have a power back, a pass catcher, a fast guy, a good special teams player. That's why they don't look like they can find running backs in the past, because they're all kind of the same. They're all different people. None of them are the same guy. These other teams know exactly who they want, and they identify. So the problem is not that you can't find backs everywhere. It's just that everyone can't find backs everywhere. Some people can. And those that can't, you know what they do? They take the least amount of risk, and they pick them early. Because the longer you wait, it's harder to tell if that guy's good or not. And if I'm not good at it, then I need to be Captain Obvious, and I need to take one early. Sometimes guys are just not running backs. Sometimes they are individual football players who are their own person, right? The Colts have 3 good running backs. They only got 1 Jonathan Taylor. So we understand where my thinking is. In the draft, we always act as if, and I'm talking about Jacksonville and bad teams, and I'm going to get to how this equates to whether or not you should add Odell for certain reasons. In the draft, we always equate everything to, well, you got to do this first. You got to do that first. For a team that doesn't pick well, trying to cherry pick when you add positions based on a predetermined formula is a mistake. If you don't traditionally draft or team build well, the best thing you can do is take the best possible player you can, regardless of position, each and every time. Because at least you give yourself a fighting chance because the guy's super talented. But no, here's what we do. Let's not take a wide receiver this year in the draft. Let's take an offensive lineman that's going to help us build the infrastructure for that wide receiver. That's not a positional value or position of priority when you're building a team. Never mind the fact that the receiver is a better receiver than an offensive lineman is an offensive lineman. And then you also assume this, that in the future, exactly what you're looking at that particular time is going to be the same scenario. Well, we can get that guy next year. Oh, yeah, you're going to find Jamar Chase next year? Good luck. It's not the way it works. And too many times teams have these formulas that they subscribe to that leads to bad team building, that leads to a void of talent, that leads to them getting their asses whooped on a weekly basis. It's Jimmy's and Joe's, people. That's how you win. Now, if all things being equal, you can team build. You can figure out who you're going to keep. You can know exactly what you need and identify it. But come on, man. Everyone has gotten so used to these formulas, especially us. And I'm going to tell you like this. And when you say it the other way, you say, good teams don't go through this stuff. Yeah, but they're good teams, so they just draft differently. They can afford to do this. Guess how they got good? Guess. You know whose fans are educated on the wrong way to do stuff more than anybody, and they're almost like people that subscribe to these formulas because it's what they've constantly heard. Fans of bad football teams and organizations all sound alike, and they all subscribe to these things that don't work. So, OBJ, should the Jaguars do it? I don't know. I've seen an expert that I respect say the tape says that he's not good. I've seen another expert that I respect who says the tape suggests he is still good. I can't tell you if they should do it or not. All I know is this. They say they don't have any speed. Ask yourself where you're going to get it from. You're going to use a first-round pick on wide receiver next year? I doubt it. I seriously doubt it. Because if they're picking where I think they're going to be picking, if they subscribe to the best player formula, it won't be a receiver. You're going to think he's going to be there in the second round? Maybe. What world-class wide receiver who's a great player and who's fast, who can create separation, is going to be a free agent that you know you can get? I like Cortland Sutton. I like Michael Gallup. I like Godwin, the kid down at Tampa. Are you sure you're going to be able to sign one of them? I know everybody says, give a blank check or back up a Brinks truck and all of this stuff. Okay, fine. You still sure they're going to come here? They didn't do that this year for anybody else. What makes you so sure that they're going to be able to do that? And you're just going to get one? You know, you carry 5 or 6 wide receivers on the team. You're going to get one. You're going to get one fast guy. Like you had one ETN this year and he got hurt. And now you're like the old armies from some of the European countries. Like if one guy goes down, he's the only one that knows how to do that job. Old military fable that somebody told me, that the difference between us was we were multiple. The difference between some of the people that back in the 80s we were going against was their fire teams weren't. If one of them went down, that whole unit was sunk. It's kind of like the Jaguars, man. We need fast. We need some speed. So we'll just go look on the Christmas tree of fast people and pick one and say, okay, we're good. It's not how teams work. Teams that are fast all the way around. And nobody knows this better than Urban Meyer. So I don't know if they're going to get Odell Beckham Jr. I don't know if they'd be interested. My guess would tell me the answer is no. Because there's some kind of formula that they're going against that everybody understands what you're supposed to do in these situations. But a lot of people that understand what you're supposed to do in these situations have not been able to cheer for a winning team for 20 years. I don't know, man. We got to get it figured out, but we're going to do all of that on Monday. What I want to talk about next is this game Sunday. I've been saying all week, I said in one of my keys to victory is when, what do the Jaguars need? They need baseball bats. So I'm going to be positive for you on this Friday. All right. It's a rainy day. It's doom. It's gloomy. I'm going to be positive. And in segment 2, I'm going to give you a chance to understand the opportunity that the Jaguars may have to win. Do not laugh at me. And no, I have not been smoking drugs. Okay. I have to do this. This is what we got to do, right? We got to go over the scenario like, what if they win? They say, well, you don't think they're going to win? No, I don't. But even then, I can tell you that if they are, how it would have to happen. So I could still be right, even though I was wrong if that happens. So hang out for segment 2 here on Locked On Jaguars on a Friday, and we thank you for making us your first look because it's your team every day, all the time. I'll have more for you in just a second after I tell you about McDonald's again, man. Listen, after Little League games, how many times over the years did I go to McDonald's after Little League games? And then here's the fun part. When I got older, when my kids finished their Little League games or their high school football games or cheerleading, I was able to put some money in their pocket and send them to McDonald's. And it made me feel good that they were doing the exact same thing that I actually did when I was a kid. And I'm going to tell you something. There's one thing that has never changed. Those French fries are to die for. Now, me and my kids, we have different parts of it that we like. I'm a nugget guy with the hot mustard. They go for all the other stuff that they go for. But I tell you, you can do the same thing if you head with your family to your local McDonald's to refuel and reconnect. Someone say Locked On Jaguars and a watch party about McDonald's. That's right. You can go up there, man, and get a gang of those nuggets and the hot mustard and a gang of fries and just load up on apple pies, man, and have a blast. It's one of the few things that I did when I was a kid that I could still watch my kids do, and hopefully one day soon my grandchildren do, that has remained the same all of these years. And that's McDonald's being a place where you can actually go and reconnect with your family and your friends. I'm loving it, and I hope you are too, man, because McDonald's is the real deal. Rolling along here on a Friday. All right, let me give you the scenario that if the Jaguars are going to win the game, just how they're going to do it. And no, it does not include the Ray Donovan baseball bats in the trunk of the car. It does, however, it's going to take some luck, and it's going to take some, and they say luck is when opportunity meets preparation. First of all, they need to come out and play extremely hard. They need to come out and play with a chip on their shoulder. They need to come out and play as if they're sick and tired of hearing people like me say that they're going to get skull drugged, okay? The second thing that they need to do is depend on the elements. I think when you come out and you punch somebody in their mouth, man, and you act like you're not going to let up and you let it all hang out and you play like this is your Super Bowl, you can take advantage of them not being mentally and physically ready. So first of all, the elements. Buffalo's used to playing in bad weather. This is Florida. This is a little different. If it's going to be wet, if it's going to be nasty, if the field's going to be a little bit wet, that's an advantage to you. The better team, or the worse your team is, or the less good as your opponent, the more you want things to be off-centered a little bit. This is also what has to happen. Hope that Buffalo comes in with it in their mind that this is, yeah, we're going to go out and get the lead, and some of the backups are going to play in the third quarter or the fourth quarter. We're going to be able to take our guys out and we're going to be able to take our foot off the proverbial gas against the Jaguars. Hope that there's a little bit of complacency in their players. Now, I know they're professionals, and I know Coach McDermott is not built that way and cut that way, but Josh Allen may get a little loosey-goosey with the football. Not the Jaguars' Josh Allen. The Bills' Josh Allen may get a little loose with the football, right? And it's not just that. It could be that some of their players, no matter how much you talk to them or tell them to get up or tell them to be ready, it's still hard to get up sometimes in these games for lesser teams. And that's what you have to hope is going to happen for Buffalo. Now, I don't know if James Robinson is going to play. Even if he does, I don't think he's going to be 100%. I would normally say pound the rock, but you know what? I'm going to say it anyway. Pound that rock. Use play action. I throw it on first down. I try to get as much as I could. I run reverses. I do any and everything that I possibly could, because all you got to do is go back and watch a couple of games this year. Watch Tennessee when they played the Jets, and watch the Jets when they played the Bengals. And what you see is you'll see a team giving all-out effort, and then you'll see another team that's sort of walking through and going through the motions a little bit. So you'll have to depend on things that you don't control if you're Jacksonville, but then the things that you can control, your physicality, your attention to detail, making good, solid plays on special teams. Make sure you don't have 12 men in a huddle. Don't come out of change of possessions or timeouts, TV timeouts, having to take another timeout. Make every field goal opportunity that you get. Make all of your extra points. Don't beat yourself, because you're going to need all of that just to barely win a game against a team as good as the Bills. So that's my how can they win for the weekend game here on Locked On Jaguars. Like I said, I think it's highly unlikely, but there's still a chance for them to play hard and hope some things that they can't control can go the other way. Now, in the third and final segment, I'm going to revisit some things that I talked about in the first segment and how it pertains to Jacksonville. I'm going to talk about left tackles. I'm going to talk about defensive ends. And have you ever you ever wanted this? And this goes back to my running back theory. Think about the Steelers. What have the Steelers never lacked in their organization from a player's perspective? And what have they never lacked structurally in their organization? Ponder that, and I'll use that as an example when I come back and talk about a little bit more of this team building and the possibility of OBJ coming to this team and where the Jaguars are going to get their talent to get better from. We'll do that in segment 3 here on a Friday on Locked On Jaguars after I tell you about Built Bar and how much I love Thanksgiving. You wonder what they have to do with each other. Well, some people, they're working out, they're on a diet, they're not going to be able to eat some of those Thanksgiving desserts, right? But guess what you can do? You can have that Built Bar because it's a perfect time for it, because it can be the new holiday dessert. And what I mean by that is it's 100% covered in chocolate. There are nine great flavors, not 99, 9 great flavors. And one slice of pie, for instance, has like 300 calories. And some of these diets that you're on, you have to maintain and stay and keep that sugar out of your system, right? Just think about Built Bar with only 4 grams of sugar. So if you're going to be avoiding all of that stuff and you're going to try to keep your palate clean of all of the fattening temptation of those desserts, but you still want to enjoy something that tastes good, Built Bar is actually it, because Built Bar is not waxy and all chalky like a lot of those other protein bars. It looks and tastes like a candy bar and is the best protein bar on the market. So here's what you do. Go to built.com and use the promo code LOCKED15 and you'll get 15% off of your order. Now use the promo code again. It's LOCKED15 for 15% off at built.com. Check them out on Twitter at @bar_built for all of the latest information regarding Built Bar. And football will be on Thanksgiving Day as well. And if you want to make some wagers on those games or the NBA, which has just started out, the best place is at BetOnline, because it remains your number one spot for basketball and football action this season. They have a new web interface for the start of basketball season and more props and odds and lines than ever before. Head to the website on your desktop or mobile device and sign up today, and you will receive 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. That's right, a 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit when you use the promo code Locked On. Now, you can play football or basketball. There's some UFC action this weekend. They also have your favorite casino games. So don't wait to take advantage of all the amazing offers available for 2021. BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way to bet on all your favorite sports, and BetOnline is where the game starts. All right, man, we're going to finish up here in segment 3 on a Friday, and I'm going to tell you exactly what I'm talking about. We were talking about team building, the possibility that the Jaguars will get OBJ. If you don't think he can play, fine. If you think the injuries have taken a toll, if you think maybe he has the wrong attitude or he doesn't want to be here, I get it. But please, please, please pause with all of that. Well, not a good fit because of his age. He's 29 years old. We need to start looking at this team building and acquiring of talent in not a singular year, but in like a 2 or 3 year window, maybe 3 years. Just lump all of the guys you can get for 3 years, not knowing what you're going to be able to get a year from now or 2 years from now, because you don't know who's going to be a free agent. You don't know these teams are going to restructure a lot of these contracts. So you don't really know who's going to be available, right? You don't know the intention of the guys and where they want to go. If at that stage of their careers, they're going to want to play for a contender. You don't know where these draft picks are going to fall. You have no idea how you're going to get these people. So don't have a predetermined way of locking yourself into certain positions. What does it hurt for you to claim Odell Beckham Jr. and see what sort of element he adds to your team. And if he doesn't add anything to him, it doesn't cost you anything. You're 1-6, 1-7. It doesn't matter. You bring him in here, and guess what? If he's under contract for another year or two, if he can play, then he can play. If not, release him at the end of the year. But at least give the appearance that you're really, really, really trying to do something here. He has no leverage. He can't get traded. All he can do is ask you to release him too. And he's going to keep going through the same process over and over. We're going to do that 12 weeks in a row. The season will be over, right? Until he gets to the team that he wants. I just don't get it and understand if it's for that reason. I don't. I asked you to ponder this question going into the reading of our sponsors. I wanted to know if a team, I use the Pittsburgh Steelers as an example. So I'll go backwards. I asked about players that it seems like they've never been missing. And I also asked about other things in their structure they seem to never be missing. But they've had changes in there. Obviously, over my lifetime, they've changed players. And obviously, over my lifetime, although it's only been 3 times, they've changed coaches, right? What do they have in their structure that never seems to be missing? 1 is leadership with the Rooneys. 2, a team of personnel guys, coaches, and scouts that always seem to know exactly who and what they want. The easy thing to do is just write that off as, okay, wait, but you're talking about 30, 40, 50 years of history. You know what 30, 40, 50 years of history is? 1 year at a time, 30, 40, or 50 times. That's how you get to it. If you see a dude run 10 miles, at some point he took the first step out of his house. So we have to start thinking that we're going to start grouping these things together to eventually lead to a bigger picture, right? But before you start shopping, it comes with an idea of who you are. So now I'm going to question Shad Khan. I'm going to question the vision of the organization. Now I'm going to question the way that these people come up with these formulas, how they're going to pick players. Now, from a player's perspective, think throughout history. What does it seem like they've always had? They always had pass rushers. And has anybody ever said this? As a matter of fact, I'll ask a rhetorical question. The thing you've never heard. Here's a statement. You ready? Don't take a pass rush in the first round. You'll find them anywhere. But it's true, you can find them anywhere. But have you ever heard anyone say that? Don't draft a pass rusher early. You can find them anywhere. They're all over the place. And it seems like pass rushers are actually all over the place. Except in Jacksonville, they have drafted pass rushers in the first round and still can't seem to find them. However, when they was drafting pass rushers before, they found Yannick Ngakoue, they found other people. So drafting a guy high in the first round because he's a quote-unquote priority position doesn't guarantee that you're going to get it right. How about let's scratch the formulas and just draft good football players? Now, I don't mean you got to be crazy and you ain't got to be silly. But it's not when guys don't work out. When players, I'm not working, I ain't talking about exercise, and I'm talking about workout like you draft him, he stays here, he goes on to be a good player. That's what I mean. When he doesn't last. Where he's picked usually has absolutely nothing to do with it. It's who picks him that has a whole bunch to do with whether or not he works out or not. And this is a fact. It amazes me that Urban Meyer is sitting here saying what he needs, and they can't give you a plausible answer as to where they can actually get it from unless they take chances on guys like Odell Beckham Jr. You need separation. Keelan Cole could separate, but you didn't want to keep him. You need separation. The kid DJ Moore was on the board when you took ETN. Remember? Both of them play for the Jets, and both of them are getting separation, catching the ball from now a third-string quarterback. How good would they be with that? Now, that's a little unfair because ETN isn't here to defend himself, but can you tell me what ETN would be doing differently than Jamal Agnew and James Robinson? What would he be doing that they're not giving you? And I wasn't totally against the ETN pick. I just thought what they were going to do is have a two-back system where sometimes they even played together, and they were going to give James Robinson the ball 18 times a game. And those carries that they're giving Carlos Hyde, that they probably give those to ETN, and you wouldn't lose any explosiveness. And some of the ways they're using Agnew, they'll use ETN. And when they take him out and they put Agnew in, they'd have – so it would be consistent. You'd have the same type of offense even when guys were taking a blow or guys nicked their heel like James Robinson now. So that's what I thought that was about. I thought it was just about adding more explosiveness to the team all around. But when you say you don't have guys that separate at the outside, I like Travis Etienne. He wasn't going to be standing outside separated from anybody. That's not what he does. He's a running back who can give you a mismatch sometimes getting in the slot. Listen very closely to when they talk about what they don't have, and then really, really think about how are they going to get it. The least likely way they're going to get it is drafting a guy. The second least likely way they're going to get it is that he's there in free agency and actually chooses to sign with them. The most likely way they're going to get it is to see a guy and actually trade for him when that guy's in a certain situation with his current ball club. That's the easiest way for them to get something. Something that you can identify and then you can trade for and own the rights to. Any other way, you're fighting for it. They tried to recruit guys last year. Nobody wanted to come here. Not because they said what they say on second day free agents. The recruitment didn't work. Yeah, because you shouldn't be trying to recruit people. You should be trying to pay people. So this is what we have to deal with at this point. I hope that the game is not. There are some fans that do hope the game Sunday, by the way, is the shellacking that I think is going to be, because it'll actually show that exactly how far away this team is, so we don't have illusions of grandeur, and that maybe something can go on behind the scenes to really make people change. Because all you need is the optimism of them either winning or playing the game really, really close, and for people to be able to turn around and say, see, we're not that far away. We fell for that trap about 2 or 3 weeks ago. I tell you what's not a trap, and that is listening to your second listen every day. After you listen to us, your first listen. And your second listen every day should be the Peacock and Williamson podcast, because Brian Peacock, the NFL analyst, and Matt Williamson, the former NFL scout, come together and give you some of the best information, man, you're ever going to get on the NFL. So make sure you find, subscribe, and check out and like the Peacock and Williamson podcast here on the Locked On Podcast Network. It's Friday, man. Y'all be careful out there. Be easy. Don't hurt yourself. Take care of each other. Watch yourself in this weather a little bit. And we'll see you again on Monday here on Locked On Jaguars. In fact, we'll see you Sunday with our initial reaction and our takeaways from the game. But until then, one love, Duval. Y'all know it's all love from Locked On Jaguars.